welcome to lesson 2 of the Intro to Web Development Engineering series presented by Christex Foundation. In today's lesson, we'll be going through web development tools. And these are tools that help simplify how you get your work done as a web developer and even as an engineer in general. The days that don't pass way for do simple stuff you need for start from the ground up. Now there are tools and resources that you can use with the help you get started a lot faster and help you do your work a lot easier. So in this lesson, now then tools and they really can go through and how we can use them for enhanced work. And the first set of tools that we will talk about are called code editors. Code editors, these are dedicated software. These are dedicated programs that we then build with are strictly for make you write code. So there are code editors like Visual Studio Code, which is one of the most popular one there. There's something I also want to mention. There's a difference between code editors and text editors, right? So code editors, these are environments wherein you can write and test and run your code all inside this one application. Whereas text editors now, you can write code there, but you can't really test them inside that particular program there. So these are a couple of popular code editors: Visual Studio Code, there's Sublime Text, there's Notepad. Next, we get version control. And what version control basically mean? This is like system there, or this is like another program where they help you track and manage changes the way they make to a file or code. So for example, let's say you work on your website and then every day they add new features, every day they add new information to that website there or to that particular program where they develop. You need a way for track and manage then changes there so we they make to this code or to them program there so. Now the version control come inside. These systems then developed generally specifically for help you for track and manage the changes we they make to your file. And in version control, it give you access, they allow you for able like get a whole history of all the changes that we don't make to your program. You can also able go back to like a previous version. Let's say you don't make some headway and your code, your program can become corrupted, or it gets to a point where you yourself not really understand what you do again, and you need to go back to like a point in your code or a point in your program wherein you are more comfortable. With version control now, since you get history of all the changes that we don't make, you can easily able go back where necessary. And also they make you able for collaborate with other people on a project without having conflicts. So imagine you get a co-worker where they're in a place like Singapore, which is basically 8 hours ahead of Sierra Leone, and you need to collaborate with that person there. How would you do that? It don't make sense for make anything on our work together. The person travel from Singapore, Kaya, or you travel go Singapore, go Meta. So that's where systems like version control come in, where they help you make able sync and work on a project remotely. And also with that, with working with different people, also they able make you identify, say, oh, these changes were made, so this program will be developed, and this person making them changes there, and then tell me how I make them. Two of the most popular version control systems so we know is Git and GitHub. Git and GitHub, the difference is, and the simplest way I can explain the difference is, Git is like GitHub on terminal. In the last session, we go through using the terminal. So Git is like using GitHub, but on your terminal, it's like run locally. Whereas GitHub is like a web-based Git platform. So it's basically the same, but GitHub is like a website. You can visit on your website on any browser where you get. Whereas Git, you'd have to run them and for user and for tester locally on your laptop. And also we get package managers. What's a package manager? These are like tools that really help you install, help you update, help you configure, and help you manage dependencies the way you do use in a particular program or a particular app or web app where you develop. So let's say, for example, you develop a Web3 platform, right? And you need for use Web3 dependencies. Just for explain dependencies are basically the thing the way you program need for make it run smoothly. And like how, using a scenario, let's say, for access the internet, first of all, you need a phone, right? So the programming you have to do is access the internet. The dependency where you need is a phone or a laptop or any device where they're able to make you access the internet. So that's the same with dependencies, right? You are for build a Web3 based platform, you need Web3 based or Web3 dependencies. That's just how package managers then come inside. With package managers, then now then can easily come install, configure the dependencies there so what you need for your project inside your project without you having the hassle for go find them individually. The next tool they look at are called build tools. Build tools, this now software that will enable you for build, compile, test, and even package applications that we don't get from source code. So you don't work on your mobile app, you don't build them, you don't test that locally in a machine, it will work. Well, how you package this, how you develop this into an executable file where anybody can easily just tap and that file they install a machine. I think in Android it's called APK. How you get that APK file? So this is where build tools then come inside. Build tools and now they compile from that you source code there to an executable file, meaning file where you're able this to somebody and possible install them and able use that particular application the way you don't develop. And next they look at browser dev tools. So this is like a very important tool in web development, considering when we go into more advanced web development like JavaScript and all that. And this are program that we do inside the web browser. So be it that Chrome they use, that Safari, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, whatever browser we they use. These are developer tools where you as a web developer can use for inspect. Inspect is, let's try that and let's see. So if you right click, this browser is called Brave. This they able make you access the page just from, it's like opening up another terminal in your browser. But this terminal more specific to the particular web page you they look at. So for example, this is directly from the terminal. This is one thing you can do with browser dev tools. So you can easily change this from browser developer tools to, let's say, not developer tools. And it will change, right? And also there's the console. So basically waiting these 10 tools are so therefore is for making you able to debug, because there are times where you probably don't, you don't build your site, you don't build your web app, and it's supposed for the work, right? But then you come and there are certain aspects where they work, certain aspects where not they work. But if you, through your dev tools and from your console, you can easily read the error the way they face and able for debug, able for identify also you they get error in your code and you they able to change that one. And also like quickly I just show you they able to modify temporarily, like able modify temporarily content on a particular web page. But when modifying, it's like the moment you refresh, it loss, it go back to your original. So now I'll be done inspect this, so don't get not developer dev tools. Let's go back and change a couple other things. Let's say Yes, programming languages. Change this for, okay, let's say from Chrome, we say not another dev. Yep, so it changes. But once you refresh, everything goes back to the original one. So these are dev tools, and these are tools you would have to be using a lot in you or in we web developer journey, especially when you get to like JavaScript and the likes. And next we look at programming languages. Programming languages are a set of instructions where we give a computer or we give a computer so we can get like an output. So it's like, think of programming languages like normal day-to-day language. Yeah. Let's say you want to buy something, you go to a shop, you get for talk something, forget an output. So let's say you go to a shop, you want to buy milk, right? So you tell the person within a shop, say, I want milk. So that I want milk, that talk with the talk, that's in development, that's like your programming language, right? And the person where you talking to in development are in the computer. And the output where you want is milk, right? So the process where the person take the milk and you don't get output. So that's the same thing with programming languages. These are like language we carry instructions where they give to your computer for get a desired outcome. And few examples of programming languages. The popular ones you have Python, JavaScript, Java, C++, C#, Rust. There are plenty other programming languages. And just like I said, what we can use them for build applications, build websites, automate certain tasks that we can get. And in some high-intensive industries, you can use them for data analytics. It's like whatever you want to do, you can able to do as long as you know a particular programming language, and you know what it catered for do. There is no limit to what you can do with your programming language. Just like there's no limit to what you can do with your natural language. The only difference between natural language and the programming language is now, with your natural language, they talk more with humans, whereas programming languages speak to computers. So next, we do with markup languages. The difference between markup and programming language is that programming language is more focused on implementing logic and instructing the computer for perform a particular task. Right? It's more about manipulating like data, manipulating information, giving instructions. Whereas markup language is now focused on presenting this data, how this data is presented, how it is formatted, how it looks like. Right? So as the definition says on WSKIN, it's used for annotate text for machine manipulation. Primarily, we can use that for format documents. So that's the main difference between programming language and markup languages. And we get HTML, XML, Markdown. These are the popular markup languages, and we can use them for structure with web page, format text, and the likes. Another really interesting tool we get for the use a lot in your web development journey is frameworks. Right? Framework, these are like structure where they help you build your application more efficiently. So like I said earlier, when I start this lesson, the days there where you need for code everything from scratch, they don't pass. Right? Now there are tools that will help you for get stuff done easier and even more efficiently. And frameworks are one part there. So with frameworks, they give you a foundation in it. You now need for start from scratch. Frameworks, they come with like a blueprint, right? They come with like this pre-existing structure where you just need for modify to what exactly you want for do. So right, there are frameworks like React, Next.js, in other languages like Python, there are frameworks like Django. Let's try for use a framework and see like a visual which I did try for see. So npx creates next. So they use the Next.js framework, npx next app at the test. So this just to show how easy it is to actually use a particular framework. So let's say we want to do something, we want to build a web app. We don't need to start from scratch. Just run in this simple command, test 2. Okay, first we could change the directory. Let's move to desktop. Sorry. And we run npx. So earlier we talked about package managers. This now like another package manager called npx creates next app at the test. Make we call next app and we press enter. So just this one command, they can create like a whole framework, a whole structure, outline of a particular project, instead of you having to start from scratch. So just like what I mentioned about just what I mentioned about package managers, they say we need for install the following packages. So this is written package managers that they do. Help you for install the necessary dependencies the way you need for make your project run. So we say yes. Now they try for install. Could not create a project called next app because of naming restrictions. So let's just change the name of the app to Rode, RODE. Would you like to use TypeScript? You just choose default because it's just a test. So you see, if you look here, it says installing dependencies using npm, a package manager. So that's the thing. This is how all of these tools then they combine into one. So we want to use a framework, but for use a framework, we are using package managers. So this is how all of these tools, all of these things, this is how they are all interconnected. So let's just wait for this for install and then we would see. I hope it doesn't take long. Yep. So using Next.js, a framework, and also backed up with package managers, we don't create a project called Rode. We don't move into Rode. Now let's open up this Rode and see what exactly we get. So if you open up this is like a project where we basically don't create without needing for start from scratch. So if you look at the README, it says use npm run dev. So actually they run this, make we actually see. You see npm run dev. Voila. So look, now we have like an actual working website booted from just using that one line. You actually don't get all this. And now, basically what you need for doing is it actually gives you even more instructions. So get started by editing app.js. You just come into app, you look up for the app.js file. And then once you start editing now, you are good to go. You don't even need for start from this app.js file. Okay, there's page.js. Layout. So yeah, I can't seem to find the app.js file, so to do me, right? But this is just demonstrating how easy and how efficient you can be with using these tools. So next we move on to, yes, just like I mentioned, these are some examples of frameworks: React, Angular, Django, Ruby on Rails, sorry. Libraries, these are a collection of pre-written code where you're able to use. Then code they are already done there. So let's say in this quick Next.js app we create, let's say we want for use some Web3 code, we want for use blockchain-based code. We don't need for can write some of them code and they are already pre-written. Like you don't need for come back and reinvent the wheel. You don't need from start from scratch again. So now what you do, you just install a Web3 library and then actually able to access the code from that library there and use that in your application. So let's say you want for, let's try npm install. I think at solana/web3.js. This is like the JavaScript library where they enable you for interact with the Solana blockchain. So now installing this, moving back for connect the dots, we use npm, a package manager, for install a library. The library being Solana Web3.js. So once you install this now, you're able, this application we don't generate using that simple command using the Next.js. This inside this Next.js app, we're able actually write Web3 based code using this particular library where we don't install. So now if we cancel package.json, we're able to see as under dependencies we get Solana Web3.js. So this library don't they pre-installed inside we projects now. So anything we need for write or we need like Web3 code, we don't need for writing from scratch. We already don't get the library inside. We can just utilize this library. So let's go move on to APIs. APIs, these are a set of rules where they allow applications to talk. So let's say you build a web app where they deal with the weather. And assuming you won't forget the weather all over the world, how do you do that one day? How do you get access to like weather information? You not get a weather company. Or let's say they build a mobile app where need you forget map inside. How do they get access to this map? You can't draw this map on your own. You can't develop, you can't code this map on your own. So that's where APIs then come in now. APIs, these are like code where you program the able access for you a particular set of data. So let's say you need mapping data. There's the Google Maps API where you can use, where they able to make you get like a same map inside your application. You able access a map inside your application. So APIs, they enable one program for talk to another one, for provide information to another. So let's say in this Next.js project we don't open, so we want to implement mapping inside. We want somebody for able to see a map, right? We just use the Google Maps API. We get access to the Google Maps. So that API now they can connect to your own project to the Google Map. So now inside this Next.js application, we're able to see the Google Maps. Yes, and we use this to say allowing different software systems to communicate. And like I mentioned, it enable your application for communicate with another application for share data. Integrates third-party services like the Google Maps, weather applications, and all the other things. And deploying. So if you see just now when we generate the Next.js application, we launch it open up we own window now with laptop. So let's say we work on that, we continue for work on that project here, we don't develop a website. How other person the able user, how other person the able benefits from it. How when you search up facebook.com, you the able access are the able access everybody around the world the able access. How that did it happen? That is through deployed. If you build your application, you left it locally on your laptop. Now you know more the able user. Other people are not able to get access to it unless you deploy the application. So deploying is like submitting it to the internet for everybody for use. And these are certain methods and services where they use for deploy your application. So like there are certain hosting services where we get for cover, like even the one who said this because content is hosted on Vercel. Vercel is used for deploy your web application or your website. And these are best practices when deploying application, things that you would need for consider. Right? Always consider security, because the moment you deploy your application, people in the area for can try for exploiter, people in the area for can try for tester, especially if they deal with critical information, if they deal with people and data, if they deal with money, you have to ensure that your application very secure. Also, it should be consistent, meaning what you get at your local laptop when you deploy app should be the same, and also when other possibly look at it for be the same. Also, consistency can also be in the actual feel and actual access to the website. So let's say, for example, we cause content, it's on cf-engineering.vercel.app. We don't go on 4 weeks into this course and then we deploy the website and then the URL change. It's not consistent. Then you throw a lot of people off track. So let's say for now, Facebook, the URL is facebook.com. And then all of a sudden, Facebook just changed into facebook.net. It would cause some drama. So that's why you have to be consistent in the actual use and feel of the program you don't deploy, and also in the actual logic. Also try for get backup always, because things happen. Even these web hosting services can go through problems at times. Right, so if you don't develop your application, you host them and then you don't get backup offer locally or on a cloud storage, what happens let's say Vercel decide for shuts down, or Vercel they experience an error, you don't have any backup. So these are just some things you always need for keep in mind, some things you always need for consider when deploying your project. So now let's get into the nitty-gritty of our lesson for today, which is Git. I mentioned them briefly at the start, but Git is like a very, very important concept or very important tool in your web development, not even web development, engineering in general, in your engineering journey. Git's now like one of the most important tools there where you need. Yes, so to get started with Git, first of all, you need for installer. If you use Windows, you go onto this website, git-scm.com, and then make it easy, just /win, or you follow the on-screen downloads and download app. If you did on Mac and you use Homebrew, another package manager, you can just boom install Git. So me already get Git installed on my laptop. So if we open terminal, clear, and type Git version. So this is how you check if it's actually installed. So I already get Git installed. So you can pause the video here, go try for download, because going forward we are going to be using Git. And then after you download Git, you need for configure. Configure this basically means this command means you configure that globally. Now your machine, what you mean by globally? Say anywhere in your laptop, you use then credentials there, so now they get assigned to Git. Yes, so you can configure using me already be done do that, so you can import, enter this command in the terminal after you install Git, and configure using the username and your email. Sorry. Yep, sorry about that. So this is like your basic Git workflow, meaning like working with Git and working with GitHub. This is engineering. This is what you get for the do. You get your teammates or you person you really work with on a project a day somewhere else, even if you're not in the same building or not in the same place. You can't collaborate and work in the sec. Okay, now this machine they use when it's supposed to be done, it won't work. Right? Even if you use separate machine, if you not get like a tool, also when they collaborate for like track changes they would don't make to that code base thing in order for work. So basically, this is the simple workflow. You get a repo, either you don't create or your teammates don't create. You just go, you clone that repo there, and you create a new branch. What in branching mean basically is, let's say this repo you get or this code base you get now like a book. A branch basically is like part of that book they were still there in writing, right? So branches, this they should say, oh, there's this particular thing where they work on presently now, and all come into the main project. It's still being worked on, and once it's complete, I'll put it inside. Right? So that is now waiting a branch. And after you create your branch, you don't clone the repo, you create your branch, and then you can work on what you want for work on now. Right? So let's practicalize this. So let's go to my GitHub. Yeah. Make we see how this actually they work. Repository. Let's find like one. Okay, let's use this one. Copy the URL and then go to your terminal, type git clone, and then you paste the URL inside it, tap enter. This automatically they clone this repo. What the cloning they do basically is you get like an exact copy of that repo the way you don't clone at this particular time, like your laptop, right? So if we list the item now, we're supposed to see, yeah, so if you look up here, you see DaVinci Bootcamp JS. This is one of my repo that I get. Right, so once you don't clone now, let's move into this directory now. Let's open them up. So this is the repo where we don't clone. This is it locally on my laptop. So if we could compare, yes. So if you come, it's like there's a README file, index, slides 1, slides 2, tic-tac2.html. And if you go now the local version, I get this index, README, slides 1, slides 2, tic-tac2. So cloning basically they create another copy of this particular project for you, where they get locally on your laptop or on your desktop, wherever you work from. And with this clone version, you can actually able make changes to the file, to the code base, and then push them. So continuing in the workflow, we don't clone. Next now we can create a new branch. And for create branches, git checkout-b, and the branch we work on, let's say feature, hidden feature. So this branch is called hidden feature. And now once you do this git checkout, basically they say, okay, create this new branch and then move into that branch, right? So now if we come back and check this out, you're supposed to get like another branch. Okay, I don't push that branch yet, so it doesn't reflect yet. So let's make changes to this code where we get. So let's add, and we call our changes.txt. And then let's type something. I made a couple of changes to this file. Okay, and next in we workflow to workflow say. Workflow say stage these changes. Staging basically means okay, you don't make change. right? You don't edit the file, you don't work on your aspect of this code. Now, before you push them, before you commit them, right, stage them first. It's like moving them from you. It's like a waiting area. Yes, it's like a waiting area. So we don't do that one day. So you say git add. This dot basically means say you add all thing. Right? That's like what this dot mean. But you can add like a particular file. You can use git add changes .txt. This they basically say that this normal one put in the staging area, and this new change normal our stage. Whereas the space and the dots they add every file where you get this particular repo. So you tap enter. Now we don't stage her, and according to our workflow, we dey commit. So they use git commit. And then we write a message. This message they describe what you do. Right? So if you work with somebody else and you say, I don't make changes to the file, the person gets asked, oh, what you do? So what you do now you they put a this you commit message where it has to be short, precise, and straight to the point. Made in new changes file. Short, precise, and straight to the point. So we don't stage, you don't get to commit message. So another command we can try is git status. This will show what you don't do or what you don't do so far. So you say you are on the branch hidden, right? We don't already commit. So now then commit here we don't make it for push and to a branch. So it's called git push origin, and the name of the branch is called hidden feature. Yep, so it's pushing now, and then it's there. So if we go over to GitHub, we see we don't get a new branch called hidden feature, and we don't push 3 seconds ago. So if we refresh this, it's supposed to be under, that's how we see branch. You see now we get 2 branches, one called hidden feature, and the other one, the default branch, which is main. So they show say branches then because you can get multiple branch on one project. But then there's something called pull request. Pull request is like saying, oh, I don't make change to this file. They are watch them and see if it's accurate or it do a thing it's supposed to do, then bring a come into the project. So when you come back to GitHub, you see this compare and pull request. You tap her and you add the title to say what you do, and here you can get a more detailed description. So I created the file and made some changes. And then you submit, you create a pull request. And then if you are working with another person from the other side of the project, and they come now, look the changes the way you do, compare the file the way you change, do the necessary checks, and if everything occur, you can easily just say merge pull request from here, or if you need it for do something else, you can add a comment, say make a few more changes, and then you comment. So the person will be don't commit and they first they know what for do, and then when the person acts on that particular commenting, now once you are in both satisfied, you like a merger commits the merge. And then if you come now back to the same repo, you would see now this changes to txt. First, when we commit her from the branch, it not be there because it was on a branch we're still there in review, so to speak. So until you submit the PR request, the PR, and then it's reviewed and the person accepts them before that finally they get integrated. So now we see where to get locally. Now we get back that we repo. So this is the basic and straightforward Git workflow. This is basically what we get for the use Git for. work locally, stage them, commit them. If you dey work with other person, submit a request. Even when you dey work with yourself, because there are times you don't want to commit to main branch or you don't want to commit to the main repo if you dey work on a particular feature and you're not properly tested it and you're not certified that it will work it. So it's always ideal, create a new branch, work from that branch name, and then once you're satisfied, you push on. So this is the basic and simple Git workflow, right? So some of them command there we don't already use. And so Git init, this basically they initialize a local Git repository na your machine, right? So if we could go back to that Next.js project where we create, what was his name? It's Road, yes. If you go back to Road, open up Road. Yeah. If we run Git, so first we'll just list the item there with it. You see, you get readme, app, config, next. These are like the different directives there with it. But if you come, you run Git init. This is to initialize a Git repository locally for this particular project, right? So if you run that one there, and then you type ls, you will see now we get like this .git extension. That means there's a repository that has been created for this particular project, but it's now locally. So from this Git repository, this they able from this point track the changes the way they make to this project, small. So another command, we use this while will be the tester one day, while will be the go through the Git workflow. Git status, this they check in this particular repository. Which I don't do, which branch are they work on now, which files that I don't commit, what thing are they do, it's like checking your status, the status of your repository at a particular time. Because there are times where if you work on one project, you get multiple features, you get multiple branches open, you tend to get lost. You may not know on which particular branch you work on. Then you could just use Git status where they show you, say, oh, you are working on this branch, you have this and this staged, you have this and this committed. Sorry. Yes, we also go through this in the basic Git workflow. You don't create a new file, you stage them. You can either stage using the dots, where they stage all the files, or a particular file using the file name. You commit your changes. Yes, this is one we now go through it, which is view commit history. So if we come and say git log here, this will show you all the commits we don't make. Starting from, you see, date this happened on the 29th of August at 11 o'clock. That's when like the first commit to this repo was made. And then another commit was made on the same day, the same 2 minutes later, and they show you the offer. The offer is like the person will particularly make this commit. And then this most recent one today at 10:26 is also there. So Git log, they give you a whole history of all the commits that you don't make to a particular repository. And then branch management. We create a branch briefly, but you can go a little deeper into branch. So from the command we use git checkout. So at that point, we create the branch, and then we move into that branch. But let's say now you get multiple branches open, right? How you they move into? They just use git checkout and the branch name. The reason we could use this -p is is that at that point, and that time will be create the branch, and at that same point it will move into that branch. But you can create a branch independently and move into it later, or you can create them and move into it at the same time. So other git commands include like git pull. What git pull basically they do is when you clone or repo and get her locally, and let's say when you dey clone, the version of the repo you dey get dependent on the particular time when you dey clone her. So if you clone a repo at 10:15 a.m., you only dey get the version of that repo day at 10:15 a.m. locally. So let's say if somebody push new change day at 10:20, you not automatically they get her. Right? So what you can do now for get then changes there so we post it up, make to this repo after. That is so say the git pull command come in. Git pull they bring the changes that you get from this repository where you get locally to you. And with git pull you can pull from a particular branch, or you can just pull from like the particular repo. And then git push is like we use that one day when we go through the workflow, pushing changes to a particular branch, and then eventually it gets merged. Git fetch works similarly as git pull. The difference with is git fetch they give a more manual control over how you want for merge, then changes there so to this local git repository we get on your laptop. So here's the thing. With git pull, it go say, okay, let's use a scenario. Say we get this project where we build a remote control, right? And then somebody in Japan don't add few buttons. But when you clone this repo, you not be get button there yet. When you use git pull, it go carry with the buttons, the new update to the procedure make we don't create the button and then merge them automatically. So now this repo you get automatically don't already merge the buttons inside it. Whereas git fetch, it carry with the updates, but it not the merge them until they show who you want for merge into your repository. Make I try to explain this once more. Git pull, they bring changes, they go fetch changes where they don't make to a repository, right? But with git pull, if it fetcher, it go take the changes and then it automatically can merge them into your local repository. Whereas git fetch, they go take the changes that they don't make, but in the merger automatically in the give a control over. So you can look and say, oh, okay, merge this, then not merge this, then merge this. During the course of this, of future lessons, we would have to go through all of these commands and see how they work. Or let's try something. Let's say we go back here, we add. So here's the thing with Git and GitHub. You can easily commit directly from GitHub without even needing to go back into your file. So let's say call your file name example.txt and say this is an example. And then we commit this from GitHub. So the point to how they get to now is there's a difference, right? So on GitHub we get create example.txt. Yeah, we get this file, but then in the local version we not get an update has been made, but we not get this update yet. So for get this, firstly we check we get to see on which branch we did, right? And then if we come back to the repository, and there's this example is on this main branch, and then we get the example, right? But now we want to pull, say, okay, well, this change we don't make to this repository, I want them locally. So for do that, firstly, you check your status, see which branch you work on, and then you can move, git checkout and main. So now we don't switch to the main branch. Also, this we change it, and then we can git pull main. So this automatically don't carry with this new example file. We don't get here locally in our laptop. Now we repository will get locally. So this is how git pull they work. But with git fetch now, this would bring the change, but then not automatically merge them. So for now, let's just focus on using the pull and push, and then when we go to more advanced concepts, we'll understand how git fetch works. We already don't use git push when we create a new branch and then push to that particular branch. And then differences, this is show the directory they work on now. This branch they work on. Waiting at the difference really between this one and your most recent commit we be done to the last one. And then GitHub, we've been using GitHub. This is like the web interface. So as you notice, I was easily able to create a new file directly from GitHub. So this is Git, but on web, more or less. And these two, basically, they work hand in hand. Yep. Features of GitHub: repository hosting, collaboration and teamwork, version control. So this is basically the Git and GitHub. They are more or less intertwined. The difference is Git is a version control program, whereas GitHub is like a web platform that uses Git for its version control. And working with remote repository, during this example, we've been working with this remote repository already. But let's say you create a brand new repository, brand new one, and then you want to connect. I think the most accurate word for use is connect this repository we get on GitHub to like this project we get locally. So if we use Next.js project as an example, we don't initialize a local Git repository, but let's say we want to connect this local Git repository now to a remote one. So let's come back to GitHub and then create a new repository. We call wood. We make because this is, for example, public means everybody can see, and private means it's only you. And we create this repository. So we don't create this repository, but for connect this one to that local Git repository, we get on the Next.js application. Copy this URL, this one, and then in we Next.js road app is git remote add origin, and then we paste the URL to the repo. So this basically don't connect that remote repository we get to this local repository. So now if we make changes there, push are using Git, it updates to this particular repo we get online now. So let's see, going to go over commands. So let's try, make we push Let's push them files here where we get to that remote repository and see how it work. So it's still that same basic Git workflow. Git add space, this will be add all. We don't stage and then we commit. We say first commit. Yes, and then we git push. So this does it. It says main does not match any. So let's come back and see here. Oh, from we creating the repository, you get like a full walkthrough, a notif for do. So we don't initialize. We don't really need a README file. We don't commit. Okay, so let's use git branch main. Yes. And then you push git push origin main. Yes. And then if you kaya, suppose to see the yes. So all this Next.js project we'll get locally. This is it in we repository we create remotely. Yes. So another thing you could do on GitHub is called forking. What they basically do is they make you create a copy of an existing repository now your own GitHub account. So this, not this one is private. The DaVinci Bootcamp JS repository where we use this now, you can easily from your own account just fork this one and you get an exact copy of this same repository now your own GitHub account. So it's similar to Git clone, but this now they clone them in your own GitHub account rather than just locally on your laptop. And then once you fork the code, you can easily connect her to the original repo using git remote add upstream. These are concepts we would get to experiment with more when we go further into the course. Yes, so general best practices. When they do you commit message, make them precise, straightforward. Make it be very clear. Oh, what do you do? I create a new file called this, very clear and straightforward. I change this, very clear and straightforward. And get into the habit of committing. Once you work on something, it works, commit them. Once you work on something, it works, commit them, and then push them. Reason being is that how engineering is something will work today, all of a sudden it doesn't work tomorrow. You will get to go back and forth, try for patch them up, try for fix the bugs, then try for get them back running. That's one. Secondly is, let's say you move or you're working something, you work on something, but then you find yourself in another area, you don't get access to your laptop. If you don't commit regularly, you don't put a push regularly, you get like an updated version of this repository, you can hop on any laptop, clone that repository on the laptop, make you changes, still work on your project directly from Yanda. That's like the use cases that we make these platform Then for branches, it's also very important not for always work from the main branch. If you work on a new feature, if you work on fixing a bug, create a branch, work on it from the branch, see say it actually don't work, see say everything they work how you want it for work, and then you can try to merge that branch now into the main branch. Yes, finally, always keep your repository up to date. Right? Especially when you work on projects where there are multiple contributors. It's not just you and one person, it's like 4 or 5 other people. 4 or 5 other people that they commit to this repository, that they make new branches, that they merge. Try to keep this local version of this repository get always up to date. If there are changes that repository don't make or other people they don't make, where you know say you need, bring pull them changes, then they immediately always make your local repository for almost always look as identical to the remote repository. Yeah, same thing. The only thing I would like to point out here is adding a README file. A README file is basically explaining, say, oh, this is a repository for the bootcamp. The bootcamp is designed for this, and this. If you want to use this locally, follow this README file. This README can get like installation. It's like documentation, a brief documentation where they give overview of your project, how for use them, and what you go use them for. Lesson we more or less don't touch on all of them till they are so. Yeah, we create a new repository, we clone the repository, we create a new file. Yeah, so this should be easy. So I advise you pause the video, it's kind of work on it for yourself and see how you would do. So that's it for today. And I'll see you in the next lesson.